When I was around 8 to 9 years old, I watched a lot of horror videos on YouTube. One day, a YouTube channel that I often watched posted a video about the cat scratch game. I watched the video and really wanted to try it. Maybe within the next few days after watching it, I was at a park near my grandparents' house, and I saw someone who I spoke to a little often. I told them about the cat scratch game and started to play it with them. The Wi-Fi wasn't too good in the park, so it was hard to get the story in steps, but we eventually were able to find it. Step 1. Position the storyteller and victim. The person acting as the storyteller will sit cross-legged on the floor with a pillow in their lap. I don't think the pillow is necessary since we didn't have pillows in the park. Step 2. Rub temples. Step 3. Recite story or poem. Step 4. Victim stands and shows. The rules were simple. The game was simple. The scare was simple. We played the game and everything was normal at first. Slowly, more people were coming into the park, and I think there were slight scratches maybe on the person's back. I'm not sure since this was years ago, but eventually we started telling more people what we were doing. For some reason, one part of the park was colder or warmer, I'm not sure, sorry, but then people were getting creeped out. Since I was the one who started it, I had to run up to my grandparents' house and bring down holy water because my granny is a pretty religious woman, and I saw her with holy water before. So, I ran up and asked her for holy water, but she didn't have any. So, I asked for salt and ran down with half of it pouring out of my hand while running down. When I was up at my grandparents' house, though, apparently some kid got scratched across the face. I'm not sure if they did it to scare me or it was for real, but I sprinkled the holy water around the park and asked if anyone had holy water. Thankfully, someone did, but since someone had to stay at the park and I started it, I had to stay while everyone else got holy water. After a couple of minutes, they came back down and everyone was okay, I think. But for the following years, I kept getting random scratches. My cat at the time was an outside cat, so there probably wasn't a way she could have done it. But I did play outside a lot, so I could have scratched myself against something without noticing, and it looked like a cat scratch a little bit. The scratches pretty much stopped around the time my cat died in 2020. By the way, I have a new cat now that scratches way more than any demon cat could. Exploring abandoned houses has always been a hobby that I share with my best friend Justin. Oregon is known for their abandoned towns, and in 2018 we stumbled upon one. It was filled with crumbling houses, churches, and in various outbuildings. After looking in lots of windows and stepping inside some of the safer-looking structures, we decided to check out the biggest and creepiest of them all. Walking inside this place immediately unsettled us both. It was like walking into a scene from an apocalypse movie. Several bunk beds, ripped mattresses, couches, soiled and forgotten toys, deteriorating children's books and more were all strewn about in this one large disgusting room. An entire wall of small cribs were bolted in rows. Justin and I both thought this sad, forgotten orphanage was similar to an animal pound. It was clear we weren't the first visitors since the original residents up and left. There was graffiti, broken bottles and an old destroyed microwave. Thoroughly creeped out, we decided to head back to the car. We weren't even 5 feet out of the door when a piercing noise came from right behind us, right in the middle of the orphanage room we had just left. I can only describe the noise as hundreds of rats screaming in a torturous pain. It was coming from that stupid microwave, and it was loud. My friend Justin is definitely the type who would die in a horror movie, because he immediately went back to investigate. The ancient appliance was smashed open, bent and almost undecipherable, including the power cord, which had been cut and ripped out. There was no reason, no sense or explanation in this blood-curdling noise coming from the microwave. Covering my ears and filled with a sense of intense fear, I begged him to get the F***CK out of there. We hightailed it out of there, both white as a sheet and shaking. It was only when we had put a few miles in between us and that dreadful place, did we start laughing our asses off. Who the hell can say they've been haunted by a microwave? I laugh about it even still, but the pure terror and sense of dread I felt that day will always stick to me. Something was not right in that place. In the 80s, I was living in an apartment. One night I was watching television. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a man standing in the corner of my living room. He was wearing a hat and suit. He wasn't looking directly at me, but straight ahead. I turned to look and there was nothing there. Years later, I did some web searches looking for info on my old apartment building to see if anyone else experienced weird things there. There was a post on a ghost story website. The poster named the apartment building that I had lived in. His apartment was right next to mine at the top of the stairs in our building. In his post, he said that when he lived there during the 90s, and was 4 or 5, he would tell his dad about the man who lived in the picture on the wall that would come out and talk to him. He said when he was older, while he was watching television with his dad and his dad's girlfriend, playing cards that had been sitting on top of the TV fell off onto the floor where they could then see impressions in the carpet as if someone were being dragged across the carpet right in front of them. This part is conjecture. I remembered the old lady who had lived next to me in that apartment. I imagined she had died in the apartment in the living room, and when they moved her body to take her to the morgue, the boy was seeing residue of what had happened, heels dragging along the carpet. I remembered when I was her neighbor, she had pictures all over her fireplace mantel. They were of her husband who had passed away. I imagined it may have been him who was standing in the corner of my apartment, and him who was the man in the picture on the wall that the little boy had talked to. Thank you for joining us on this spine-tingling journey through the world of horror. We hope you enjoyed these tales of terror and that they sent shivers down your spine. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more chilling stories. Until next time, sleep tight and don't let the bedbugs bite.